I made this loaf with less than 20 minutes of hands-on time. I recorded a video showing the hands-on time to make this loaf from start to finish. I didn't do any cuts or edits on the time, only I cut when I changed the camera angle. The overall time took about 5 to 6 hours for the fermenting and the time between the intervals of stretch and folds. The time that you do your cold fermenting can vary. It can be just an overnight or it can be a full day. So this video is just highlighting the hands-on time needed to prepare a beautiful loaf. Let's see how it's done. My goal in this video is to record the process of making sourdough from start to finish the fastest, most efficient way possible. And we're going to get started. The only thing I did ahead of time was pour the water so I didn't have to step out of the frame. So I have everything you need here. Just going to explain what I have. I've got 350 grams of warm filtered tap water. Going to use 100 grams of whole wheat flour, 400 grams of bread flour. This is my all-purpose flour for feeding my starter once I complete this. I did take my starter out of the refrigerator about 30 minutes ago, just so it's a little bit softer and more pliable. This is my area where I do my bulk fermentation. This is a waterproof pet mat. I have it covered with a towel. I have a cake dome here. I keep my bowl in there, so the bowl is actually a little bit warm. I have 2 bench scrapers, a rounded edge and a straight edge. These are all of my tools. If you don't have a cake dome, you could, or a pet pad, you could use a heating pad that you would use, let's say, on your back, and a bowl covering it. This is a cake carrier. I already had it. It is plastic. I have a towel at the bottom that adds for extra warmth for when the bowl is in there. And if you didn't have this, you could just use a bowl, an inverted bowl, or a large Rubbermaid or Tupperware or some type of container that has a lid, and that could sit on your heat pad. So this is what I already have. I'm a big fan of using what you have. I'm going to start the clock, and I'm going to see how long this process takes from start to finish. Got everything out. Turning my scale on. Bowl on. Clear it out. Adding 350 grams of water. $150 grams of starter. My starter is very active, and I use it right out of the refrigerator without pre-feeding. Oh, gotta clear this. 150 grams of starter. Set this aside for feeding. I forgot the salt. Back with the salt. I like to add the salt. 10 grams of salt. I already know that 3 spoonfuls is 10 grams of salt. If you see any editing, it's just because if you see editing, there may be some edits, and it's only because I may have mispronounced something, but rest assured I did not cut any substantial time out of this process. Stirring the starter in the warm water so that it dissolves slightly. It will still be lumpy. Back on the scale. 0. 100 grams of whole wheat, 400 of bread flour. Okay, cut, paste. 400 grams of bread flour. Doesn't have to be exact. I like the whole 100 grams of whole wheat for a total of 500. Use it any combination you like. Now we mix. Rounded edge bench scraper. I scrape the sides down. Just going to pick the camera up. You can use your hands. I just prefer not to have dough all over my hands. The goal is to moisten all of the flour. That's all that this step is, the autolyse step. Scrape off the bench scraper, and now it's going to go into the warming area. From this to the warming area, and that will sit for an hour, and then we'll check back and start the process of stretch and fold. At this time, I take my starter and I will feed it a half a cup of all-purpose flour, quarter cup of water, stir it, if it needs more water, add more water. All of the flour needs to be moist and wet. I use my silicone spatula here, scrape it down. Scrape my jar down so I can keep an eye on the level. So we're at a cup here. This is a 4 cup, so it's a cup here, and it'll rise up to about here. Plenty of room for expansion. I put the lid on tight and I put it on the warming pad. And that will double in volume within the next 2 hours. It's been an hour. This is the first stretch and fold. The dough is a little bit dry. I'm going to use both hands. And I am simply just pulling the dough. Still a little stiff, so I'll just do this for a little bit. It will soften up in the next round. Not forcing it too much. And that's it. I'll just let it be and cover it. Number 2. It already looks smoother. Okay, and that's it. One more. This is almost already doubled. Number 3. Oh, it's got some air in it. Doing these every 30 minutes. Technically, this is number 2 stretch and fold. That first one was just mixing. Try not to force it. I form it into a ball. Two more times. Almost ready. Next to the last one, technically the number 3 stretch and folds. Much softer. I was doing these every 30 minutes. Not going to force it. Make it into a nice round. And the starter is, that's my dog scratching over there. The starter is just about done. This is ready to go in the refrigerator for the next time I bake. The final stretch and fold. This is number 4. Take a look at the dough. Notice that there's air bubbles in there. It's nice and warm. I have my heat pad on high. I've already taken the temperature of the dough and it is 77 degrees, which is perfect. Not necessary, but I just like to give the bowl a scrape. On the sides, I want a nice clean edge. And that's it. We cover it for bulk fermentation, which will be a few hours. The dough is ready. Doing the pre-shape. The idea is just to create a tighter package, as I like to call it. My dog likes to make noise every time I do a clip. So this is my first pre-shape. Well, there's only one pre-shape. And I'll let this rest for about 15 minutes, covered. Now for the final shape. Flip it over, stretch it out. I like to pinch the ends together so it doesn't make for a weird shape. I have my Banneton basket right here. Still playing with the end there. Rice flour for the Banneton basket. Just playing with the shape a little bit. It looks a little kind of funky. It's the rice flour. Flip it up. Put it in the Banneton. Bring it together so it's tight. Get the ends nice and round. That's what I prefer instead of that shape. Looks good. Put a little bit more rice flour on the top. Cover it. Let it rest at room temperature until it passes the poke test. You can see right here it's still a little stiff. So it'll probably be an hour. The dough is ready for the refrigerator. Give it a poke and it springs back but leaves a slight indent. It's ready to go. Into the refrigerator overnight for baking tomorrow. I like to wrap it with a towel. I put it in a large Ziploc and in the refrigerator it goes. We'll bake tomorrow morning. The following morning, the bread coming out of the refrigerator. Sorry, it's not bread yet. It is the dough out of the refrigerator. And it looks lovely. I like to score right down the center, and I like to go all the way to the bottom of the loaf on both ends. I put it on an angle and lift the outer skin, so to speak. The oven has been preheated at 500 for just about an hour. I like a preheated oven. I have a rack inside. I'll show you quickly. A rack to put the bread on. Drop this in. Lid on, 20 minutes. It's been 20 minutes. We take the lid off. Always so happy when it looks like that. 20 minutes, lid off. Lid off for 20 minutes at 450. It's been 20 minutes. It looks beautiful. Here it is. Okay, we'll recap and see how long it took to create that. It takes less than 20 minutes. Thanks for watching this video and for all your likes, subscribes, and comments. I really appreciate it. I hope you find this video helpful and check out my playlist of other videos that I have of what's happening in the kitchen. Thanks for watching.